Hello everyone, here is some Reddit stories and Minecraft to help you be productive. You guys can play this video in the background while you're doing your work. Today I'm still doing some work on my iron farm, so I still have some more stuff to do there. And one more thing, I know every single YouTuber says, only 50% of you guys are subscribed, so subscribe. But seriously guys, only 13% of you guys are subscribed. So if you watch the videos every day, then just subscribe because I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. Sorry though, that's enough yapping. I'll get right into the stories now. Okay, this story is titled, Am I the A-hole I don't want to apologize over my mother feeling unwanted at my college graduation? Told her she wasn't welcome to visit me anymore. My mom and I have a strained relationship since we got in a fight about me working at a summer camp instead of an internship last summer. She's always been controlling, influencing where I want to go to school, my major, etc. We didn't talk for a few months since she wouldn't talk unless I apologized for going against her. Last month was my college graduation. She wasn't coming until she got her dad to come with, as she didn't want to be alone. She also didn't book the tickets until I verbally invited her. She never calls me, but says I'm the one who doesn't want a relationship. I call her once a week, but never talk about anything deep because I don't want her judgment or smothering. But I never uninvited her. At graduation, she made me cry 3 times from stress. I tried to make an effort to include her, but she says it wasn't enough. My parents divorced 2 years ago, and my mom hates that side of the family. Who was there? She has always hated them and thinks I favor them. I try to be fair at the graduation. I spent half a day with mom, then half a day with dad. Then I tried a combined campus tour. During the tour, my dad's mom, who has a walker, had to use the bathroom. I was the only one who knew where it was, so I took her. Didn't think it would be long, so I didn't say anything. Didn't think I needed to. My boyfriend was also there, so he took over. Bathroom was 20 minutes. When I got back, my mom and her dad looked pissed. I was getting stressed. When they asked me a question, they seemed angry. I felt stressed by this, so I stepped away because I was crying and didn't want them to see. When I returned, my mom/her dad left. The night after graduation, I wanted to drink with my friends. My mom looked mad when I told her this. I thought it was okay. I spent lots of time, both alone and in groups, with her that week. Went out to eat with her, spent time with her in the hotel. She was there for group meals, played a board game with her as well. Fast forward, I'm moving halfway across the country this week. My mom keeps saying she is unwelcome, even though I've told her she is welcome to visit me whenever. When I probed, she says it's because of how I acted at graduation. I explained to her the misunderstanding. She wants me to apologize for not saying where I was going and also wants me to acknowledge how she felt. I said no. I tried my best. Nothing to apologize over. I told her if anything she made the weekend about herself when it was supposed to be about me, especially since I didn't get a graduation in 2020. She said it was about her since she was the mom of the graduate. That was a few days ago. She sulks around me, and I don't want to talk to her as I'm still mad that she wanted an apology. I told her if she's going to keep sulking, she's not welcome to visit for a few months. A few heated words were exchanged. No resolve. I went to my dad's for a day. I came back. All the photos of me were thrown out. I asked why. She said I'm dead to her and that she needs to move on from me, and seeing them brings her pain. Am I the a-hole? This is a really weird thing because, like, I was reading the entire thing and it was like, it was bad, but it wasn't that bad. And then I read the very last sentence and the mom says, I need to move on from you. Like, that's crazy. Like, That's like something you would say when you break up with someone, not something you say to your daughter. Like that's really weird. So basically, it just sounds like the mom is kind of a helicopter parent and is a little bit too involved in her daughter's life and just needs a lot of validation. And so, she's a lot of the times like, "Oh, you don't love me," or "You're spending too much time with this side of the family and this and that," and just playing the victim left and right. Uh, and I think that's super unhealthy because you do have to feed into that to make her stop, but you shouldn't. So I guess it's really unfortunate that the mom ended up overreacting and saying that she needs to cut her off because that's insane to say to your own daughter. But yeah, I think that the writer of the story did a good job, like setting a boundary and just not feeding into that like validation. And yeah, at the same time, like yeah, her parents are divorced. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a competition either, where the mom's kind of jealous because she thinks her daughter likes the dad more. It's just like, even my parents, like for example, it's like I'm gonna go to some things for my dad and I'm gonna go to some things for my mom. It's not a competition of, who's better. And I think the mom like weaponized that for no reason whatsoever. And she used that to be like a victim or a pick me and just kind of be like, oh, you don't love me. You must hate me, and just all that stupid stuff. But no, this is exactly what I would have done if I was the writer in this situation. Is just set that boundary. Another thing is too, like the daughter never, like originally at least, never explicitly said, "Don't come to my graduation." She never said that until the very end, when it was deserved and the mom was kind of, going overboard. But up until the very end, she never explicitly said, "Do not come to my graduation." Right? And so the title of the story is "I Don't Want to Apologize Over My Mother Feeling Unwanted." If your mom feels unwanted, like you're not responsible for other people's feelings. Like if they feel a certain way, then that's on them, right? It's like, I feel sad over the fact that you got a new job. It's not the person's responsibility to quit their job. It's the responsibility of the person that has those emotions to deal with them. And I think that's really immature of the mom to put that responsibility on her daughter. And sorry if I worded that poorly. Hopefully that makes sense, but that's kind of what I think on that one. At the same time, too, I do wonder what the mom's perspective is because I do know that like all of these stories are going to be biased towards the person that writes them. Um, and I don't really have the context there, but with this, I'm just gonna say, yeah, this person is definitely not the a-hole here. I want to see what the comments say because I'm kind of curious what other people's opinions are. Someone said, "Not the a-hole. It's time to stop apologizing. You're an adult now and feel free to live the life you want." She can either accept that or stay away. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. Like, you're not responsible for the mom's feelings. Just because she feels unincluded or, whatever, like, whatever emotion it is, you're not responsible for fixing that unless it is justified. Like, if you said, like, "Mom, I hate you," then yeah, you do owe them an apology if they feel sad. But if they just feel that way and it's not your fault, then you're not responsible. Like it's not on you to fix that. Yeah, and it looks like everyone else in this comment section is agreeing too, which is good. But yeah, that's definitely an interesting story. I'm gonna get into the next story now. This story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for not coming to the summer family reunion because I have to work to make ends meet?" A while back, I had to move out of the area that I was raised in because I got priced out, even working three jobs and living with roommates. So I just took the loss and moved to the next state over, away from the metro area and in a place that I could afford with two other roommates. I am a 24-year-old female, by the way. My family was supportive and helped me move. I don't think they got that they'd see me less because they'd ask me to come over for the weekend. It's an 8 hour bus ride, which is no big deal, but it does take up time where I can work. Plus, I have to pay for a motel whenever I visit because my parents redid their guest room to be an office and they don't let people sleep on the couch and their rentals are full up. So, I have visited twice. In a month from now is my family's summer celebration. Most of my family hates traveling in the winter, so we basically have Christmas/slash Thanksgiving in the summer for everyone. Well, of course, great timing. I am laid off from one of my jobs and just have the other one. But I got a job helping with a wedding that weekend, which will put me in the green for a bit. I told my parents I couldn't make it, and they were so mad. I tried to tell them that I need this money to make ends meet. I said that if they wanted me to come, they'd need to pay. Mom was pissed and said that was manipulative. I told her that I need to think of the consequences of my actions. She said she's sick of me choosing everything but family. When I'm not working, I'm trying to learn coding, but it's really hard and I'm struggling to understand it. Yes, before anyone asks, I have a learning disability. I know that's not an excuse, it just means I have to work harder. But my older sister called me to catch up. I told her what happened with mom. She was very understanding, but also said that she thinks mom is right and she knows it's hard for me to make ends meet, but that I have a lot of other options like Uber Eats, and that it kind of seems like I am using the wedding gig as an excuse to be lazy, as in I get paid a lot more for less time than if I worked Uber Eats. She says that I should be willing to put in the extra work if I really care. This has made me feel really bad and like I need a reality check. Am I the a hole for not going, and should I just cancel the wedding gig and make it up with Uber Eats and stuff? This is interesting because, like, in the process of reading the story, I think I flip flopped back and forth between siding with her and then not siding with her. Originally, I read the title and it was like, am I an a hole for not coming to the reunion because I need to make ends meet? I read that and I'm like, obviously not. Like, if you need to make ends meet, then, go make ends meet and just don't go. That should be fine and no one should judge you for that. It does sound like she is in a hard situation, but her mom and her sister are both, I guess, against her. And so that kind of makes me wonder, like, are both of them delusional, or is the person writing this just not telling the full truth? That's kind of what I thought there because the sister also mentions as well that she could be making more money in less time just doing Uber Eats. And so if that is true, and it sounds like it is true, then why is she continuing to do her other three jobs or whatever? Um, because that just seems weird. Because if that is the case, if she does care about her family and she does want to see the family, then logically in my mind, I'm like, why doesn't she not? Why does she not do that? My guess is also she has to live in like California or like New York or something because it says she was working three jobs and living with roommates and still couldn't have a place to live. That's crazy. So I have no idea where she is living, but most places, if you work like 50 hours a week at a level like an entry level job, you should be able to at least live with roommates. So I don't know how three jobs and living with roommates doesn't equal a place to live. So it had to have been New York or something. However, if she was telling the truth and for whatever reason Uber Eats is in reality not a good option, I do like what she did by saying, um, if you want me to visit, then you guys have to pay for it. Because I also don't think the parents are in the right because they really want her to visit. They're making her feel guilty for not visiting, but they also won't let her stay at her house because they don't have extra rooms, and they also refuse to let her sleep on the couch. So, like, regardless or not, whether she does Uber Eats or her other jobs, like she's going to be broke no matter what. She's going to have either a little bit more or a little bit less, but she's still going to be broke no matter what. So I think it's unfair to like make her feel guilty and then not offer her a place to stay because renting a hotel, even if it's a cheap hotel, it's probably going to be like 150 to $200 a night because like I said, she probably lives in New York or California. So my opinion on this one is that both people are in the wrong. Like the person writing this should probably do Uber Eats if that's possible. That's what I would do. And I don't really mean this in a bad way because this is kind of generalizing, but like it's not impossible to make a little bit of extra money, right? Like I said, like she can do the Uber Eats or she can also like start a side hustle, right? Like you could start flipping couches or you could even donate blood, making money that way. Um, I feel like if she wanted to make it work, I think she could. That's what it sounds like, at least. But at the same time, I think the parents are also in the wrong too because you can't expect her to come when she's still broke. Like she's gonna be broke no matter what. Um, but yeah, but still, if I was gonna make her feel guilty for not coming, I would think that's unfair because you're not even inviting her to stay at your house. You're making her stay in a hotel. I don't know. That's just kind of what I think on this one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, but I'm going to read some of the replies to this story. Someone said, how are you supposed to get a job doing Uber Eats if you have to take a bus to see your family? Do you have a car or no? Or was that an AI mistake? That is a very interesting comment because I did not catch that. She said she has to take a bus to see her family, but she is like, her sister suggested that she do Uber Eats, which implies that she would have a car. So I don't really know what happened there. That's definitely interesting. And also, this person's assuming that this story is AI. I don't think it is, just based off the way it's written, but it is really interesting. I am curious to see, you know, are any of these stories actually just not real at all? I don't know. There's too many factors for me to make a firm opinion on this because, like I said, we don't even know whether or not she actually has a car. And we also are, missing a lot of other context. But for now, I'm going to say both the parents and the writer are in the wrong. But obviously, I'm not super firm on that. But yeah, let's get right into the next story. All right, this story is titled, Am I the A hole for not allowing Airbnb guests to use my patio? I bought a flat as an immigrant a few years ago in a bad reputation street of a bad reputation city in a bad reputation country in Europe. I won't say that it is just luck, but the country became an attractive country to visit. The city developed a lot, and my street, being in the center, became very attractive to visitors. Now my street has been fully renovated, and so has the facade of my building, because we got public funds for that. But the inside is still pre-war gray because we are fine with it. My flat is the only one that opens to the courtyard, and after speaking to the neighbors, they were all enthusiastic for me to turn my corner of the courtyard into something pretty, on whichever way I felt. In this kind of buildings, it is defined how much each apartment owns of the land, but not delimited. So I own, let's say, 5% of the land. Usually I would use it for a parking space, but it is not like you have a delimited parking space, and since I don't drive, I asked the neighbors if I could take the corner next to the door of mine. This was a no parking space, and everyone enthusiastically agreed to let me make it a mini garden slash patio. After the city and the street blew up with tourism, someone did some legal trickery to buy the flats on top of mine that were supposed to be saved for low income people and turn them into Airbnbs. We are not happy about it for many reasons, starting with those flats were supposed to be for actually low income people. But to the actual conflict. I let my neighbors use my patio, but I've been kicking Airbnb guests out of it. Apparently, the Airbnb host posts pictures of my little corner of the courtyard as a public space. I don't think it's a public space since I own part of the land and the Airbnb owner does not, and it has been accepted that this is my portion of the land. Now, the Airbnb owner is saying that he will sue me for discrimination since I share my little patio with the other neighbors, but I don't allow tourists in it, and he has had some negative reviews. I'm absolutely safe legally, but morally, am I the a-hole for not allowing tourists in my space when I let neighbors use it? Okay, first and foremost, earlier in the story, when this person was talking about their land being delimited, I have no idea what that means, so I don't know what to do with that information, but overall, this person's definitely not the a-hole, and I think they're definitely in the right, and I'll explain why. Well, I guess first off, she owns the land, so legally she can do, or I don't know if this is a she. The person that owns this land owns it legally, and they can do whatever they choose with it. But the person is asking morally, am I in the wrong for not allowing them to use it, but allowing my neighbors to use it? So she's allowed to kick people off, but does that make it right? I would say yes, because you got to look at who is going to be using the patio or the garden. Her neighbors, she has a relationship with. She talks to them every day. She knows the quality of their character, right? She knows who these people are. Whereas Airbnb guests have no care for the space whatsoever, and that is kind of obvious. I know plenty of Airbnb hosts have had their rental properties just completely trashed because people don't care. And so I think it's justified for her to not allow them onto the garden. One thing I will say, though, is she needs to be careful. I keep saying she, I don't know if this is a girl, but I don't know. But I think this person needs to be careful with how they handle the situation when people do want to use the garden slash patio. Because if the Airbnb host is advertising it as such, and you don't have any explicit signs or information that says this is not for Airbnb guests, then how are they supposed to know? So if you come bombard them and get mad at them, I think that would be unfair, and I hope this person doesn't do that. So I will just say that this person needs to be careful with how they handle that interaction, because it's not the Airbnb guest's fault, it's the host's fault who bought all the properties on the top floor. What I really think is messed up though is the Airbnb host, like, it's fine if the host just doesn't say anything, like he doesn't necessarily have to say anything, but what I think is more wrong is taking pictures of it and putting that in the listing. I think that's really wrong because they should know that it's not their land and they shouldn't be advertising it as such. Because I know for me, when I look at Airbnbs, there are certain things that just make or break it, right? And so if it has like a really cool pool or a really cool room or an arcade machine or a really cool cold plunge or whatever, stuff like that, that's what honestly makes me want to go stay there. But and if people going into it are like, oh, this garden slash patio area looks really cool, I think I'm going to book this rental, then they can't use that anymore. So I think the host is really doing everything wrong. Yeah, that's just what I think, though. I do want to read some of the comments because I'm honestly curious to see what other people have to say. Because technically, this person is legally in the right. And so I don't know if some people would disagree with the take I just gave. Someone said, it's your private patio, not public space. You can invite whoever you want to use it or not. The Airbnb host is in the wrong for how they handled the situation. It's unfair to advertise a space that doesn't belong to them. I feel bad for the tourists, but that's on the host. They deserve the bad reviews. Yeah, I 100% agree. I do feel bad for the tourists because it's literally not their fault. They didn't know that going into this. And when the Airbnb host says, "I'm getting all of these bad reviews and it's your fault," it's literally his fault. Like that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But yeah, that's all I got for this story. Yeah, that's all I got for today's video. If you guys watch my videos to the very end, I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are real ones. And if you guys are not subscribed, please subscribe, bruh. I need to reach 1,000. So definitely subscribe. And then if you want, leave a comment. I'll try my very best to respond to every single one of them. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.